Amidst the quietude of our split-level dwelling one fateful night, I found myself home alone. The upper floor, akin to an apartment, was where my brother and I resided, while our parents occupied the lower level. The rain outside discouraged my friends from venturing out, leaving me to pass the evening in solitude, engrossed in the enigmatic world of Dr. Sleep, a cinematic venture I had yet to experience. With rapt attention, I followed the plotline, pausing only briefly to procure a snack from the kitchen. Within the confines of the pantry closet, I retrieved a box of crackers, but my tranquility was abruptly shattered by a faint noise emanating from the lower floor. Initially dismissed, the sound became increasingly pronounced, resembling the soft closure of our back door. A peculiar awareness gripped me. My room was positioned directly above this door, rendering any movement downstairs distinctly audible. The architectural frailty of our residence accentuated the noise, making even the slightest disturbance palpable. A cacophony of footsteps reverberated, prompting me to cease the movie. It was evident that an intruder had breached our sanctum. Swiftly, I messaged my family group, inquiring about the identity of the unwelcome visitor. A terse response from my mother negated any familial presence in the house, leaving my brother as the sole possibility. However, such a scenario was unfathomable. He habitually avoided the back entrance and was not expected home that night. My fingertips danced across the keyboard, addressing my brother directly, only to be met with a resounding silence. The footsteps persisted, traversing the expanse of our abode, drawing nearer to my location. An ominous silence descended upon the hallway, the intruder meticulously bypassing adjacent chambers. The weight of each step was discernible, the gravity of the situation palpable. In the dimness, my eyes, narrowly slit, captured a surreal tableau. A shadowy figure stood at my doorway, peering intently into my room. Only the eyes were discernible, their gaze fixated upon my prone form. It was not my brother. This intruder was an enigma, an unwelcome presence invading my sanctuary. The minutes crawled by, each one stretching into an eternity as the figure lingered, absorbing my vulnerability. After what felt like an eternity, the intruder withdrew, the door shutting softly, yet decisively. Curiously, no subsequent footfalls echoed in the hallway. Panic seized me. I messaged my family, urgently seeking confirmation of my brother's whereabouts. His swift denial of involvement propelled me into a state of abject terror. My trembling fingers dialed 911, my hushed voice barely audible as I relayed the ordeal to the dispatcher. Even in the quietest of whispers, the intruder discerned my attempt at communication. The footsteps, now deliberate, retreated downstairs. I clung to the phone, awaiting salvation. The knock reverberated through the house. Relief washed over me as I descended to admit the arriving police officers. Together, we meticulously combed every crevice, expelling the specter of the unknown intruder. The resolution was alarmingly simple: an unlocked back door, an oversight that had invited peril into our home. As the officers departed, leaving me to grapple with the aftermath, I found myself ensnared in a web of fear and vulnerability. In the ensuing silence, the backyard motion sensor flickered to life once more, casting an eerie glow upon the scene outside. Through my window, I glimpsed a retreating figure, swallowed by the obsidian night. Had the intruder returned, testing our defenses anew? The locked door thwarted his intrusion, yet my heart hammered with trepidation. I maintained my vigil, peering into the darkness, haunted by the memory of those penetrating eyes. In that moment, the importance of vigilance and the simple act of securing one's abode became starkly apparent, a lesson etched into my consciousness, destined to linger, a reminder of that harrowing night when safety was but a fragile illusion.
In the annals of my existence, this occurrence transpired when I reached the venerable age of 20. Presently, I find myself at the age of 22, and the episode in question, though not antiquated, has acquired a retrospective hue. During my tenure in academia, I assumed the role of a caretaker for a family during weekdays and occasionally undertook the responsibility of being a nanny for a more affluent household over weekends. These affluent patrons frequently embarked on weekend excursions, leaving their two progeny under my vigilant watch in a residence that generously boasted a dedicated guest chamber for my accommodation. The family, benevolent in nature, contributed to an overall agreeable experience during the tenure of my custodial duties. This particular episode unfolded during the autumn season when the deciduous foliage descended gracefully, enveloping the surroundings in a chilly ambience. My arrival at the residence on a Friday was uneventful, and the initial night proceeded seamlessly as I engaged in recreational activities with the two youngsters, affectionately dubbed James and Jessica. James, age 7, and Jessica, age 5, exhibited endearing qualities and commendable conduct. Their respective bedtimes were regimented, with Jessica retiring at 7:30 and James at 8:30. Throughout the diurnal period, I occupied myself with diversions tailored to each child's predilections. The family's opulent abode harbored two designated chambers brimming with an assortment of toys, one for Jessica, replete with dolls and miniature abodes, and the other for James, indulging his penchant for video games. The residence, an architectural marvel, sat atop an expansive estate, featuring a sizable pond as its centerpiece. Ancillary structures included a detached 3-car garage, and, across the pond, a pool with an accompanying pool house. The pool house doubled as a recreational haven, equipped with a billiards table, dartboard, arcade games, and an expansive television set, ensconced amidst numerous sofas. Noteworthy was the existence of an intercom system, seamlessly connecting the pool house to the primary residence, fostering communication at the push of a button. Post the youngsters' bedtime, my leisure hours unfolded in the pool house, a location endowed with a panoramic view of the estate. Adhering to the household protocol, I refrained from hosting acquaintances, contenting myself with virtual interactions via FaceTime and cinematic pursuits. It emerged as an idyllic space for unfettered recreation, characterized by an unwavering adherence to the established norms. As the pangs of hunger assailed me, I traversed the estate back to the domicile. Accessing the residence with a secure code, I availed myself of the generously stocked kitchen, procuring a frozen repast that underwent culinary transformation in the microwave. Sated, I retraced my steps to the pool house, reveling in the liberty afforded by its acoustic insulation, permitting unrestrained telephonic conversations and elevated decibels from the television. Ensconced on the couch, partaking in the cinematic allure of white chicks, I relayed the euphoria of my occupational milieu to friends via text messages. Abruptly, the tranquility was disrupted by the intercom's insistent cadence, jolting me from my reverie. With alacrity, I acknowledged the beckoning device, only to be greeted by Jessica's tremulous voice expressing trepidation and recounting auditory disquietudes. Instinctively, I abandoned my repast, hastening to Jessica's quarters to assuage her fears through the age-old ritual of tucking her into her cocoon of security. Post this reassuring interlude, I retreated to the kitchen to appease an emerging onophilic inclination. Amidst my quest for a suitable wine opener, a faint creak in the wooden flooring emanated from an undisclosed chamber, eliciting a momentary paralysis as I awaited an encore. Resolute against succumbing to burgeoning unease, I attributed the sound to the mundane settling of a domicile. However, the luminosity of the pool house, sustained by both illumination and television, necessitated my return despite an undercurrent of disquiet. Re-emerging into the nocturnal expanse, I secured the entrance, traversed the estate, and resumed residence in the pool house. Resuming my repast and entertainment, my solace was again disrupted by the intercom's intrusive reverberations. Anxiety, a burgeoning companion, accompanied me as I confronted the seemingly vacant airwaves. Jessica and James' names, intoned with an eerie resonance, echoed through the intercom, intensifying my perturbation. A frantic call to a confidante, Kelsey, ensued, an appeal fueled by a visceral disquiet that transcended the mundane. The tableau from the window revealed a spectral figure in the house, extinguishing any vestiges of rationality. Panic-stricken, I disengaged from Kelsey's presence, seeking solace in the sanctuary of emergency services. Through the intercom, a torrent of pleas and anguish reached the dispatcher, a symphony of despair permeating the nocturnal air. The spectral figure, a distorted visage suggestive of degeneracy, was detained in the colliginous embrace of handcuffs, marking the cessation of the nocturnal ordeal. Despite the semblance of normalcy's return, the specter of that fateful night lingered, etched into the fabric of my psyche. The aftermath saw the children's guardians summoned, orchestrating their swift removal from the haunted abode. The traumatic episode, an indelible stain on my soul, precipitated my withdrawal from the residence. A gnawing disquiet lingered, mirroring the lingering trauma inflicted upon the unsuspecting juveniles. The wheels of justice turned, propelled by the aggrieved family's pursuit of retribution, leveraging their considerable resources to ensure the malefactor faced the full weight of legal consequence. In the wake of this harrowing encounter, the wounds inflicted upon the familial unit demanded convalescence. The parents, recognizing the scars etched upon their progeny's innocence, instituted a sustained period of respite from solitary sojourns. The inimical malefactor, ensnared within the clutches of justice, faced the reckoning befitting his malevolent intrusion. With a heavy heart, I conveyed my incapacity to resume residence in the dwelling, haunted by the specter of that ominous night. The parents, sympathetic to my plight, acceded to my entreaty, understanding the immutable scar imprinted upon my psyche. As the curtains descended on this chapter, I harbored the hope that justice, served meticulously, would bring closure to the indelible trauma inflicted upon a tranquil haven.